Jump right into the Cavs and the Brooklyn Nets in Brooklyn tonight. Winner of this series will go on to play the Boston Celtics in round one, and the loser will face the winner of the Hornets and Hawks for the 8th seed. That game between Charlotte and Atlanta will be played tomorrow. But tonight, Brooklyn's playing 9.5 at home. Total is 227. Chris, what do you like in this game?
Yep, so the pressure is on. The play-in tournament is here, and I'm going to take a stab at the first quarter in favor of Brooklyn in this one. Lean towards the under too, but that line has come down, and I agree with that movement. I think it was a little too high to start off. But as you can tell too, right, just something to note, playoff lines don't typically move as much as regular season lines. They're a lot sharper, and that's what makes this so difficult. But this is, I mean, all these games are very interesting, but two teams that are approaching this and probably feeling a lot differently, right? I mean, if we take a step back and look at kind of the human element of it, the Cleveland Cavaliers started off, had a great start to their season, a great first half of their season, really. Now they're on the road, heading to Brooklyn against two of the best players in the world, a team that a lot of people think is still a title contender. You know, obviously at Brooklyn, at the Barclays Center, it's going to be a raucous crowd there. And these are a bunch of young players, right? Except for Kevin Love. You don't have a lot of experience here in the playoffs in these high tension situations. So that's part of my angle in the first quarter. You know, we saw the Nets do that to the Cavs a few days ago or last week when they faced them. They just obliterated them in the first quarter. We saw that from Brooklyn on Sunday as well, started off that first half really strong. And I think that's a really good method for Brooklyn too, right? If they can overwhelm the Cavaliers, which I think they certainly could, right from the jump, and just kind of comfortably stay ahead with that explosive offense that they're capable of having, then they're putting themselves in a really good spot. 9.5 where this line is now, it's a little too high for me. You know, I have this game handicapped at 7.5 overall. Could see the Cavs kind of sneaking in the back door at the end. You know, Brooklyn has kind of slowed down in some of these games at the end too, and I really don't think this game is going to feel as momentous to them. I mean, obviously, it's a play-in game. They need to win, but I think they expect to win. Right. Whereas, so, I mean, I guess in a sense you could say there's more pressure on Brooklyn. But at the same time, when these young players are playing in their first ever play-in tournament, first ever playoff game, it's a really tough one. I mean, the only advantage that I have for the Cavs in this is that interior defense has been pretty good this year. Obviously, Jared Allen is still out, though, so that takes a hit. I have almost every advantage for the Nets tonight. The best players on the court, perimeter shooting, offense, mid-range, forget it. I mean, experience, poise. This should be a game that Brooklyn wins. Again, I think the line is a little too big. And I think the Cavs, the only chance that they have is slowing this game down, playing a methodical type of basketball where they can take the Nets off of their rhythm. But that's going to be really, really tough to do. So, and you know, for what it's worth, even though the Nets haven't played great defense, they're starting to look better to end the season. I like the physicality from Andre Drummond and some things I saw from them on defense to end the season. So Brooklyn is setting themselves up well. They have some good momentum here. This one could get ugly pretty early. I hope it's a better game than advertised.
Yeah, Brooklyn coming into this one definitely with more veteran experience. They've also won their last 4. So maybe things are starting to gel a little bit in terms of all the personnel changes that they've had in Brooklyn. Cavs, they weren't supposed to be in this position. So alluding to your comment, Chris, on, you know, younger players not quite knowing how to play in playoff basketball games. I mean, their win total this season was 26.5 wins. They weren't expected to be as good as they were. They finished with 44, but to be in a play-in tournament, I mean, the pressure is definitely on for them and just the whole fan base that's behind them at this point. Josh, any thoughts on your end, either on the side or this total that's come down 3 points from 230 to 227?
Yeah, firstly, agree with the total movement for sure. I was about 5 points under the opener, still a couple points under where it currently is. So not a real big edge at the moment. Can see a couple of different game scripts applying here, and basically all of them still point to an unders, I think, in the end. So that's the only way I'd look at playing the total. Even if you have missed the best of it, I still think it's the right side to be playing. The line, in my opinion, is just absolutely razor sharp. I mean, you look at every single matchup this season between these teams, and every single game has basically finished on that line or within a possession of that line. So it basically shows us that the bookmakers have a really strong understanding and rating of both of these teams, which I guess isn't surprising either. However, in an environment like this, in a situation like this, I think the only way you could probably take it is Brooklyn to go out and just basically pull on an absolute clinic and blow this Cavaliers team essentially out of the water, I think, down the stretch of the game. I don't know how much fight the Cavs will have, say, in the fourth quarter if they're already down 15, 16 points. It's not, it's not a regular season. It's a deflating feeling knowing that it's basically the end of the road and there's, no coming back from it. So, there's every chance, I think, that if Brooklyn do play from in front, the longer the game goes on, the bigger that lead gets, the bigger it continues to grow until that final buzzer at the end. So I lean Brooklyn. I would love Cleveland to win this outright. Would love it. If we could get a Boston-Cleveland first-round matchup, I'd be a very happy man and a lot less to stress about. I can tell you that much. But I don't see a world where it happens. I think Brooklyn basically comes in and does essentially what they want offensively, and the Cavs simply just don't have the answers right now to keep up with them.
Yeah, that would be very nice for you and any Boston Celtics fans out of there to get the Cavs in the first round. That's almost unfair.
A little bit, yeah.
Almost as bad as the Bulls in the first round.
Yeah. That's going to be a cakewalk for the Bucks. Yikes. All right, well, Chris is playing the Nets first quarter, hoping for a fast start from Brooklyn tonight, -3.